Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. It's still the off season, but we're nearly there. I think in about 10 days, we have the prospect tournament. Two games Utah Mammoth will play. So I went on Twitter, asked some mutual followers what mock trades they have for the Utah Mammoth, and I apologize to my loyal, faithful YouTube community. Maybe if you could comment on this video with your mock trades, maybe we could do a part two of reacting to fan mock trades. And my DMs are always open, so you could go in there and send some mock trades. Maybe with enough, I could also make a part two of this type of video. So we'll go with the first trade here from Clubbers Till We Die. His handle is Clubber Time. His mock trade is Alex Tuch to the Buffalo Sabres for Nick Schmaltz, 1-for-1 hockey trade. First blush, obviously, what is Buffalo doing in this trade? But Alex Tuch, he will be an unrestricted free agent, just like Nick Schmaltz at the end of this season. So maybe I could see Tuch as a great UFA target heading into next year. He's 6'4, 216 pounds, so brings that size to the top six that I do think the Utah Mammoth are still missing even with the acquisition of JJ Paterka, but he's only making $4.75 million in his last year. Schmaltz is making $5.85 million in his last year. Both players looking for raises, but Puck is a two-time 30 goal scorer, way more production than Nick Schmaltz, probably more consistent than Schmaltz as well. So from the Utah perspective, this is an A plus trading for expiring players. Obviously, he's dunking a little bit on the Buffalo Sabres here because what are they doing? Just completely downgrading. But we should have our targets set on Alex Tuch next year as a free agent. I think he'd be a great addition to this team. He's the same age as Schmaltz as well. So approaching that 29, 30 age. And he's looking for a raise. He's currently making 4.75. He's probably looking for $7 or $8 million being a two-time 30 goal scorer. That's the cost nowadays with the rising cap. So overall, unbiased, I would rank this trade as a C because it doesn't really make sense for Buffalo. But great job singling out Alex Tuckett. You could see him as a great player for the Utah Mammoth. Next, we got the professor on Twitter who used a great graphic to show off his trade proposal. Going to the Utah Mammoth, Charlie McAvoy, and the full $9.5 million cap hit, and going to Boston, Nick Schmaltz again. Nick Schmaltz is all over this video if you couldn't anticipate. Adding to Schmaltz is John Marino and a second round pick that the Utah Mammoth have three 2026 second round picks. So obviously Charlie McAvoy and a great defender, the best defender on the Boston Bruins. He's in year 4 of 8 of his contract. He's 27 years old, so you're getting a lot of prime years from Charlie McAvoy. He makes, like I said, $9.5 million. Marino, he signed for 2 more years. Obviously, we know Nick Schmaltz is on expiring contract. I feel like this would make sense if we gave Boston a first round pick in this trade instead of the second. So a first, Marino and Nick Schmaltz to Boston. Boston, obviously, they kind of don't want to commit yet to a tank, but I think like 20 or 30 games into this upcoming season, if they're really bad, they should probably sell the farm, get a lot of draft picks, and go after the first overall pick, Gavin McKenna. So I think a first Marino and Schmaltz would be pretty decent and fair for both sides. And I think with Charlie McAvoy added to the current Utah Mammoth decor of Sergachev, Dursey, oh, well, now we're giving away Marino, but let's say Simashev steps up, Mata, some other prospects, Nate Schmidt, other prospects that might come up. I think this makes their decor with the addition of McAvoy like a Stanley Cup contender type caliber decor. Right now, I feel like they have a playoff caliber decor, but McAvoy would just elevate them so much. So if you just change that second round pick to a first, I think this is an A tier, approaching S tier. If Boston fans, if they're watching, I'll make this a thumbnail, so maybe we could grab some Boston fans and what they think. But for sure, Boston would be looking for a first round pick in the reboot. And McAvoy, USA guy, friends with Clayton Keller, also a USA guy, Cooley, USA. It's be a great American addition to Utah. Next, we got Casey Ruff fellow friend of the show on one of three Allen for You interviews. A lot of these fans, these passionate fans, didn't want to send mock trades because they love the players so much. Casey says, "This is so hard. I don't want to give anybody away." I finally had to get it out of him. And then he finally said, "Okay, let's send Hayton to Minnesota for Marco Rossi." Marco Rossi just signed a 3-year contract with Minnesota, $5 million. There's some disgruntledness, maybe a tarnished relationship between Rossi and Minnesota. Rossi's a small statured centerman who is more skilled than Hayton. Hayton's 6'1", but he goes to that dirty area. He goes to the front of the net, causes havoc on the power play, even 5-on-5. Hayton likes to go around the net. Hayton's finishing up his second bridge deal. So I think Hayton's looking for a long-term contract. He's currently making $2.65 million. The only way I see this trade happening is if McBain elevates. McBain just got a nice sort of long-term contract, maybe mid-term contract. If McBain could elevate, you got Desnoyers and Baudouin coming up. You could have a Cooley, Desnoyers, McBain, Baudouin center depth, and maybe you could afford trading Hayton for Rossi. I don't like the trade just because of size. Other than that, if Rossi was 6 feet, 6'1", I would make this trade, but still, Rossi would just make our forward core smaller, and we all know they want to get bigger. But pretty good. I think Minnesota would agree with this trade if we're going for more skill in our forward core. This would be great as well. So I would give this a B. This is a B tier trade from our friend Casey. Next, we got the Blue Marauder, Kevin. This guy's on my speed dial on WhatsApp. He sent me 8 mock trades. I think we're only going to feature 3 out of the 8. I can make a whole video for Kevin, the Blue Marauder, on Twitter, but he'll wake up in the middle of the night texting me, "Oh my God," and just think about Utah Mammoth things. He's at development camp, at rookie camp, at the games. This guy's a number one passionate fan. But jokes aside, he does not text me in the middle of the night. His first trade is we trade Lawson Krause, a second round pick in next year, and Thomas Lavoie, a nice sort of defensive prospect who just got named captain for his Quebec junior team. And Utah receives Pavel Zacha or Zacha. Now, what's coincidentally about Zacha and Kraus, they're the exact same player. I think they're both the same human being, just one's on the west, one's on the east. They're both 6'4". They're both over 200 pounds. They're both 28 years old, and they both have 2 seasons left on their contract, and they both make around $4.5 million. And like Kraus is 4.3, Zacha maybe 4.7, but Zacha or Sasha is a C as a centerman, and Kraus obviously is a power forward winger. I think this is a pretty lateral move, and we're kind of giving a lot away for a lateral move. Like, wouldn't a 1-for-1 of Zacha and Kraus make sense? Maybe throw in a third or a fourth round pick, like to give a second and a prospect for. We're not really elevating anything. We're just getting a bigger centerman. I feel like Kraus and Zacha, you interchange those guys in our lineup, and I don't think much will change. They got similar production. If anything, Kraus is better at producing. He's got 3 consecutive 20-goal seasons before Utah, whereas Zacha only has 2 20-goal seasons in his NHL career. So a bit of a downgrade for Utah in terms of production, but you get a nice big centerman, sort of a stopgap for Baudouin to come up and Desnoyers to come up. So maybe not Kraus. Maybe if you could do like a Carconi and a second round pick for Zacha, maybe a less better prospect than Lavoie. Lavoie, I think he's a year away from the Roadrunners. He could be a pretty good prospect. So maybe not try to give Lavoie away. We'll see Kevin a bit later on in this video. Next, we got Tim the Mammoth on Twitter. And this is the exact reason why I did this video. I would never say this. I would never come up with this to go and get Kesselring and Domeback. I mean, Utah loves their players, and that was a hard pill to swallow. The initial reaction of losing Kesselring and Doan. Obviously, this is a pro Utah trade, all about Utah. He doesn't give two hecks about Buffalo here. So it's Schmaltz and a first round pick for Tage Thompson, Doan, and Kesselring. Obviously, we had Cooley, Keller, and Tage Thompson at the World Championships this past summer. They were the top line. They helped USA win the championship. Buffalo's not giving away Tage Thompson for this little. You'd have to go a little bit beyond this, but I love the fact of just trading to get our fan favorite guys back. Uh, Tim would be a great general manager. I'll give this obviously it's facetious. There's like a C or a D tier trade. Next, we go to again. We got Kevin Marco Rossi shows up again for Schmaltz and a second round pick and a third round pick. It's a good cap move because Schmaltz is expiring and makes just about $800,000 more than Rossi. So in terms of a financial situation, you're trading an expiring guy for 3 seasons of Rossi. Schmaltz and Rossi, the same sort of slight stature. So you're not really getting smaller. You're just interchanging them. Rossi probably more higher ceiling than Schmaltz. So this is a pretty good trade. Honestly, I think this is fair for both teams. This could be a B or an A, approaching A tier trade. Yeah, you subtract a skilled two-way guy in Schmaltz for a skilled player in Rossi who's younger and has a higher ceiling. Yeah, it is a pretty good trade. And because of that tarnished relationship between Minnesota and Rossi, I think Minnesota would be inclined to make this trade. And Schmaltz is from Wisconsin, only 4 hours away from Minnesota. Uh, Maybe this is an A tier. Could be S. Could be an S tier trade by the Blue Marauder. Next, we got Rod Anderson giving us 2 trades. Zacha again pops up. Mason McTavish from Anaheim for DeSimone, Boudouin, and Will Skahan, and a second round pick. Okay, let's digest this one. McTavish still hasn't signed a contract, just finishing out his entry level contract. He's been improving each year of that ELC. He's a centerman. He's like a second line centerman is his ceiling. Doesn't play a big game, but he's really skilled. Had 22 goals last year, 52 points. For Anaheim, this doesn't make sense because they want to get better now, and they're trading a skilled player in McTavish, second line center, for Baudouin, who could be a McTavish, maybe slightly less skilled. So they replace that center depth with Baudouin, who's like a year or two away. Scon's a pretty good D. The second round pick as well. This is more like a rebuilding type move, and I just don't feel Anaheim's looking to rebuild, but this could be pretty fair if Anaheim wanted to get rid of McTavish because you're getting some futures and a second round pick. D. Simone's a filler here. So his second trade is Zacha for Schmaltz and Carconi. And I like this better than Zacha for Kraus because Zacha for Kraus, it's too lateral, too the exact same. For Schmaltz and Carconi, like they're both 1 year left. We'll probably move on from both of these players. So you get 2 years of Zacha. You get you add a 6'4", 200-pound forward in your forward group along with Kraus. So you actually increase in size and height that Bill Armstrong loves for his forward core. So this could be better. I like this better than the Kraus trade. I think that Zacha trade is like A tier. But again, for Boston, they don't want expiring guys. They want draft picks. So maybe it would have to be Schmaltz and a second for Zacha to make this make sense for Boston. Next, we got Randon. His first proposal is for McTavish. And I think this one's actually more fair for Anaheim, and it's not Allard. He switches his up to Baudouin. So the previous trade was Baudouin, Skahan, DeSimone, and a second. This is Baudouin, Dursey, and a second. So this makes more sense because Anaheim's getting an impact player right now in Dursey, and he's more of an offensive, high tempo defenseman who could work in Anaheim. I think this is more of a fair trade. This could be A tier or S tier, Dursey, Baudouin, and a second for McTavish. I think that's great. Even for Utah, it's like, sure, you're giving away Baudouin, but you're adding McTavish right now. Imagine having a center depth of Cooley, Desnoyers, McTavish, um, well, we're giving away Baudouin, but then, McBain's there as well. That's pretty good. And Hayton, because we're not giving away Hayton in this trade. That's a lot of great quality centermen. That's a great trade for Utah. And it sort of makes sense for Anaheim. If McTavish doesn't want to sign in Anaheim since he's taking so long, to get an impact player in Jersey, a future centerman in Baudouin, and a nice little draft pick is a cherry on top. His second one, did he have a second one? No, we only sent a first proposal. Come on, Randon. Next, we got Utah Hockey Club. Again, Schmaltz appears. So it's Schmaltz for Monahan. And this one's a bit complicated because Monahan's got 4 more seasons left at $5.5 million, and he's 1 year older than Schmaltz, and his production is less than Schmaltz. Monahan's sort of like a high teens goal totals in a season, where Schmaltz has eclipsed that 20 goal mark 4 times consecutively. Schmaltz does. So I would say this is a degrade from Schmaltz to Monahan, but Schmaltz is expiring, so you get 4 years of Monahan. And I feel like Monahan will be great on a third line. Again, he's not big, doesn't add size. He's sort of the same as Schmaltz, I think, in size. Or if anything, Monahan's probably bigger, but he doesn't play a physical type of edge to his game. He could be a great PKer, great veteran in the bottom six. So you're trading the money of Schmaltz for 4 years of Monahan, so your cap is not really affected. This could be pretty good for your bottom six. Just add a veteran because, we might have too many young guys in the bottom six, maybe moving forward. If Boots comes in, he's a big green. McBain's still trying to come veteran status in the NHL. You have Kraus there as well. You got Kerfoot, Stenlund, who might be going. So adding a good veteran in Monahan, he'd be in the bottom six. I don't see him in the top six because his production just isn't there. This probably a B tier trade for me. Next, we got Jonathan Marchessault for Yamamoto and spicy tuna, Liam O'Brien. Now, this only makes sense as a cap dump from Nashville. Marchessault went from 42 goals with Vegas to 21 goals with Nashville. He makes $5.5 million, 4 years left. He's 34 years old, so you're not getting any prime years. You're basically paying for his retirement at 34 years old. Usually teams would have to add for a cap dump. We've seen that so many times on the receiving end for the Coyotes, like Bear, Strawman, Andrew Ladd. Like we get these big contracts and we get cherries on top of in draft picks and sometimes good young players. So the fact that Nashville doesn't have to add, they just send Marchessault away to Utah, and they just get some depth guys. Maybe I could see O'Brien being a fan favorite in Nashville. He's a fan favorite in Utah. So this only works if Nashville finally decides, what the hell did we do last offseason in free agency? We got to get rid of these guys, save some money. We don't want to give away draft picks. So let's just send Marchessault to Utah. Utah could eat it. $5.5 million for 4 years. It's a little bit steep, but this could be okay. I think this is a C or B tier type trade. And then the last one, again from Kevin, the Blue Marauder, trade number 8. Yes, he gave 8 trades. Barbashev from Vegas for Duda, a second, and a third. I love Barbashev. There's so many ties to Barbashev and Bill Armstrong. Barbashev was drafted by St. Louis when Bill Armstrong was part of that scouting staff. Uh, Barbashev, 29 years old. He's got 3 years left at $5 million. He's big. He plays a big game, even though he's only listed at 6 feet tall, but he's over 200 pounds. He's got 2 cups with St. Louis, with Vegas. In that Vegas Cup run, he had 18 points in 22 games. I wanted Barbashev for the past 3 years, even when he was a free agent. After winning the Cup in Vegas, I wanted Bill Armstrong to go out and get him. So I love this. I would love Barbashev on Utah. I think giving away Duda second and third is pretty fair. So this could be an A tier trade. He does mention Vegas is $7 million over cap, but I think Petrangelo, who makes $8.8 million, he announced like a season-long injury. So I think he'll go on long-term retirement, LTIR. Still don't really understand how that works. So I think they get relief from that, which covers the $7 million over cap, but would love this trade, even though Duda could be a great aspiring puck moving offensive defenseman. Vegas have a type of Vegas doesn't have a lot of prospects. I feel like Vegas would be all over this. Once they get tired of the shiny new toy in Barbashev, they go out, they get a nice prospect and draft picks, and then they could go out and get someone else, saving $5 million from Barbashev. But, 3 years at 29 years old, the way Barbashev plays, this would be a great addition to the Utah Mammoth forward course. So that's it. hopefully this was a fun video, just looking at what type of trades fans come up with, and it's pretty ironic how a lot of them were trading Schmaltz because he is expiring, and that's going to be a big topic moving forward. What this upcoming season? What does Utah do with Schmaltz? Do they keep him at $5.85 million? He's probably looking for a raise to 7. He's got great chemistry with Keller. I'm sure in the locker room he's a great guy since he went through the whole scorched rebuild and they never traded Schmaltz. The chemistry, the friendship with Keller, will it, detract? Will it ruin the locker room? Will it ruin chemistry? Or is it just time to move on from Schmaltz and evolve the forward core? In the long run, I see a Ginla replacing Schmaltz, but maybe we need a little bit of a stopgap between throwing a Ginla in the top 6 wing position. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.